This is Monocle on Design Extra. It's a short show to accompany our weekly programme where we discuss everything from architecture and craft to furniture and graphic design. I'm Maylie Evans. Never at Home is a Vienna-based art initiative that takes over vacant sites and transforms them for temporary artistic use. The team's latest venture, the Funkhaus, was the former radio building of Austria's national broadcaster, ORF. The space is, for the moment, a collection of studios and an events venue. The project is temporary, as the listed building is set to be converted into residential housing, though when that will happen remains unclear. Let's join Monocle's correspondent in Vienna, Alexei Korolyov, as he visits the Funkhaus.
I leave this town, I walk away with my eyes wide open. So my name is Elsa Steixner. I rent the studio with my band. We're called Elsa. I'm super glad that we could get this space and have a rehearsal room where we have actual daylight, which is great. You never get that as a musician.
Elsa and I are in what used to be a radio control room, with a window running the full length of the wall, looking out over a sprawling park below. There are rooms like this all along the corridor. For decades, this building, the Funkhaus, was the heart of Austrian radio, der österreichische Rundfunk, home to all the stations of the country's state broadcaster, ORF. For Elsa, being here means something.
The moment you enter the building, you feel a bit, how should I say? I mean, you enter the building and you feel like you just entered somewhere. You go up the stairs, you see this building, you see this architecture and this beauty. So I think this also gives a lot to the creativity that you then, there's space for that actually. And if you see beauty, I hope that it also gets you to make beauty.
This building is indeed a thing of beauty, though its origins lie in a dark period of Austrian history, in the latter half of the 1930s, during the era of Austro-fascism, just as the Nazis were preparing to annex Austria. And there is in its design something of fascist architecture, similar to what's found in neighbouring Italy, with its stark angular shapes and imposing scale. Yet it is also, above all, a fine example of modernism, particularly in its interiors, with vast panoramic windows and elegant staircases. In 2016, the Funkhaus was sold to a private developer from Western Austria, Romberg Group, with plans to convert it into flats. By the end of 2024, all radio staff had moved to a new site, but no conversion work had yet begun. So in a stroke of genius, the CEO, Hubert Romberg, reached out to Clara and Vera Grillmeier, two sisters who co-run an NGO called Never at Home.
My name is Clara Grillmeier. I'm part of the Never at Home team, one of the founding members. We founded the project 4 years ago now. So what we do is that we use unused spaces, vacant spaces in Vienna. And how the whole project started is that our first space was actually a school. It was a school that was empty for a year. And then kind of the whole idea of Never at Home shaped, like it was quite a big building. It was a few thousand square meters. And so what we did then was to find artists who wanted to use some of the former classrooms as an artist studio. This is now our fourth location. I don't know how all the leaves came in here.
So, the entrance.
I mean, you can probably even hear it, this huge ceilings and this really spatial experience. And that I have the feeling that in this whole house, it's future and past together. I think, when was it built? In the 1930s? Yeah. And it's so modern, like all these little elements in here. It's just beautiful.
What I also really like about the entrance hall, I mean, of course, there's this round thing where the portier used to sit. The reception.
Vera Grillmeier.
It's really big and it's a lot of space. When there was a reception here, there was nothing else here, obviously. And now that we're here, so many things have already happened here. So there's this little glass cube there, or if people used to call it the aquarium, and they also had like little conferences in there. But so it's a really big space and it's kind of empty. But when we had our opening, we had a drag performance here. The drag performer came out of like this tiny elevator. There was a little trumpet concert here. So it really served a lot of purposes already. And I'm really curious to see what else is going to happen here.
When the Grillmeyers and their team invited applications for spaces, like the one I was in with Elsa, for rehearsals or studios, the response was overwhelming. Nearly all of the 73 available rooms are now in use. Clara.
I think we still have like 7 studios. We kept them. We got much more applications, I think up to 400, I think. But we didn't want to rent all of them out because we want to do a residency program. That's what we plan at the moment, to also get international people to come here, spend some time in Vienna, work here.
This process of choosing, so you had lots of applications, was it difficult?
It's always difficult because you have to say no.
Vera.
And when we look at the portfolios as a team, as a Never at Home team, and of course it's not our personal taste, but the taste of the project. So we have a curatorial guideline that we created, and then we try to have a good balance between the different disciplines. We try to have more established artists with more upcoming artists. It's very interesting.
We really try to be accessible for a lot of people.
Clara.
Of course, it always depends on the location as well. The Funkhaus is right in the center of Vienna, which is also different because it's very easy. People know this house, they're interested in seeing what's happening here. It's so iconic in the city that you don't have to be in this niche of fine art bubble to come here. And from the artists, I think it's interesting that here in Funkhaus we also have musicians. We didn't have that in our former spaces. So it's also nice to experiment with this discipline.
Just as it has for decades, the Funkhaus remains alive with activity and sound. Never at Home have the run of the place until at least the summer, although what happens after that is anyone's guess. But for now there's still time to visit the studios and immerse yourself in this remarkable piece of Austrian history. For Monocle in Vienna, I'm Alexei Korolyov.
That's all for this week. If you're eager for more design stories, then listen to our main programme, Monocle on Design, airing on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. London time. Or if you prefer print, pick up a copy of Monocle magazine, available on all good newsstands now. Today's episode was produced by me, Maylie Evans. Thank you for listening.